So welcome everyone, and thank you for joining our Matchmaker session today. My name is Hannah Elgersma, and I am the project coordinator for City Lab Hamilton. Matchmaker events are where we learn more about the projects that have been submitted by staff members and work with our faculty members to try and find good student, faculty, and staff partnerships to tackle the projects. Today, we are joined by Kristen Bill and Katie Main. And we will be, who are from the Forest Health Public Works team here at the City of Hamilton. So Kristen brings us a project, a challenge to create an assessment tool to monitor the long-term health of these woodlots. So thank you for being here. I wonder if we can just start by you telling us a bit about your role at the city and how that work impacts Hamiltonians.
Yeah, thanks so much, Hannah. So I am the project manager of Forest Health here at the City of Hamilton in forestry and horticulture. And I really focus on protecting and growing the urban forest canopy here at the city. We have over 320,000 city trees that, um, are on our streets, in our parks, and in naturalized areas, but we don't actually have a full inventory yet. So that's only a small portion of our total canopy that, we need to protect and manage. So I protect the forest from pests and diseases, but I also work on increasing canopy cover. Our new urban forest strategy proposes 40% canopy cover. So that's almost a doubling of what we currently have within the city of Hamilton. And so we're kind of posed to tackle these new issues in a new light. So, all in all, my work really ensures that the residents of Hamilton have access to healthy and safe green spaces. That's kind of the summary.
Wonderful. It's important work. I wonder if you can also guide us next through the challenge and relevant background information, key objectives, sort of how you came to this challenge and what you're looking for.
Yeah, great question. So, as the project manager at Forest Health, as I said, my two main priorities are increasing canopy cover and maintaining forest health to maintain the current canopy and grow it. So, this project really connects both aspects of my job. And right now, publicly owned woodlots in the city of Hamilton are protected through a conservation bylaw and then the incoming urban forest strategy. So it really indicates the city's ongoing action to protect, manage, and enhance woodlots within the city. The incoming urban forest strategy really put forward recommendations for one, updating the public on what the state of the forest is so that everybody has a sense of what that is, like the health basically. Two, increasing the canopy cover to 40%, as I just mentioned. Three, implementing an invasive species management strategy in partnership with the Biodiversity Action Plan. And four, developing a strategy to have active management in natural areas, i.e., woodlots, in Hamilton to support the natural biodiversity and forest health. So these recommendations really further identify the needs of assessing the current state of the woodlots and then having active and regular knowledge on invasive species spread, and that kind of develops our work plans. So the city of Hamilton has more than 1,100 hectares of woodlots across, I think it's more than 109 different areas in parks and open spaces. Um, and this initiative, in collaboration between City Labs in the city of Hamilton and students, will really prioritize planting, invasive species removal across woodlots, and assist in future work planning, as I said. So it's really important to support the incoming urban forest strategy. So, having said all of that background, the key objectives really are to develop some sort of health assessment criteria for these woodlots, design and implement a long-term management tool for these woodlots to maintain and monitor their health over time, and hopefully assess the health of those all of those woodlots, and then develop an invasive species monitoring tool potentially. So that might be like a guide for, forestry and parks departments when staff and students are out, to be able to say, oh hey, I'm seeing this invasive species, let me input that into our GIS so that we are in constant knowledge of what's happening across the city, because it's a lot to manage, and we all kind of need to be cohesive in this strategy. So we there's a lot of flexibility in this project, and I'm happy to work, in carving out those objectives more, and happy to have like ongoing discussions about what we get out of this project. So
Wonderful. Yeah, that was well described, and thank you for even the points of the recommendations. And so you talked a bit about this strategy. Is this is something that's being built right now? Is there a timeline for it, or is there specific sort of inspiration for the project being brought forth at this time?
So the inspiration kind of came from two main things. So we've had a new invasive species pop up in the city, which is hemlock woolly adelgid, and there's a lot of things that come with that. So first off, we don't even know where the hemlocks are in the city of Hamilton. So that kind of got the ball rolling of, well, we need to know what species, what tree species we have in these woodlots. We need to know what's there. Otherwise, we don't know how to manage it. And if invasive species come in, we need to know where they are and where they're going to hit. So that kind of got the ball rolling. And then there's two more incoming pests. So we have oak wilt, which could cause a lot of detriment to our woodlots, and spotted lanternfly, which could do the same. So, you know, this project is going to help us manage those woodlots. And then if those invasive species hit, let's say we have a woodlot that's 50% oak and oak wilt hits it, we know that we're going to have to prioritize planting in those zones and increasing native biodiversity.
Mhm.
And that helps the health of the city of Hamilton's forests. So that was kind of the main trigger of this project. And then the second one really was, we have community plantings that we support every year. And it would be amazing to have those woodlots mapped out so we can say, oh, you know what? This is a high priority woodlot that needs more planting. Let's put this community group in this zone and boost and enhance this woodlot. And it really goes to prioritizing those woodlots as well, so that residents in low canopy zones can eventually have better access to enhanced woodlots with lower invasive species, etc.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you. So just curious, as of right now, are there any current tools being used for mapping, um, or even for assessing health? Is there something that would be worked off of? Just curious.
Yeah, so I'm so happy you just asked that. So we did write a grant for the Invasive Species Action Fund recently, which kind of actually carved out a piece that I had originally placed for the students in this City Lab collaboration.
Mm,
However, they take the piece of mapping out all of the woodlots across the city, which would allow the students then to at least know where everything is. And it gives them the building block for this entire project.
mm,
So that's one big piece that, it depends on the funding and if we receive that. But it is one major piece. And then we also have partners like the Hamilton Conservation Authority, sorry,
yeah.
and Conservation Halton, that have little pieces of this information already, like city owned woodlots that they know where they are and what's in them, etc. They don't necessarily have a health status assessment of them, but that's one piece that the students then can build off of.
Mhm.
And parks as well has layers that, shows where some of the naturalized woodlots are, but there are some pieces that um, are like in a spatial layer that don't have those woodlots. So that's the piece that I'm hoping that the Invasive Species Action Fund will target so that the students are better equipped to tackle the objectives that I've laid out thus far.
Mm, yes. Oh, wonderful. Um, and so with this work, where would you expect that it would go, or what it would be used for? And sometimes that's hard to say, but and you've started to speak on it, but I'd love to hear.
Yeah, so I, I mean, this work is going to go directly into regular operations of forestry, parks, and cemeteries.
Mhm.
It really, especially my role, but for all of forestry, it really helps us know what the status of those woodlots are to prioritize work planning, like I've said, and then for parks and cemeteries, for them to be able, when their staff are out and they're in those zones, if they see invasive species, they can, put it into a GIS database so that we know where we need to prioritize future work planning for that. So, yeah, it's going to be definitely part of our regular work day, even, So, yeah, it's exciting. It's a really exciting project for me.
Absolutely. And it sounds like there's a lot of components to it. And I do wonder if it won't all be able to be done in one semester, but if this is something that can be built on, because it sounds like the data that can be collected over a period of time as well. So do you mind expanding a bit on the specific deliverables or goals you're looking for from the student group?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm really hoping that the Invasive Species Action Fund carves out that inventory of woodlots for the students. And that really preps us for this collaboration where, I'm hoping that we have um, tools developed to identify invasive species for forestry and park staff when they're out there. So that's one piece. And it needs to be focused for our regions. That would be the Carolinian Forest Zone. And then and kind of also include incoming forest invasives as well. So that's kind of a key component. So that can include like what they look like, where you'll find them, what are their host species, all of that good stuff. And then I think there will be a component where you'll be analyzing the literature for key health information for woodlots. So, what does that even look like? What are those criteria? And what invasive species or what diseases we need to include in the monitoring of those publicly owned woodlots. So that kind of feeds off the first point. And then the woodlot health assessment techniques. So what do other organizations do? Be it in Ontario or in Canada, like whatever the scope is that the students want to narrow down. What is feasible and what is of interest usually.
Mhm.
So that could be like even knowing the like structure, like is it a very low diverse woodlot? Are they all kind of the same age class? All of that good stuff is really kind of the meat and potatoes. So then from all of that analysis, developing the health assessment criteria for these woodlots. So then for the city, what are we going to carve out and look into for our publicly owned woodlots? So
Mhm.
that's a huge piece for this, right? So everything else is building up to it, and that is like super important. And then how are we going to develop that into a long-term management tool that can be used for us to monitor and maintain woodlot health and, kind of extra kind of piece that's been tacked on is developing potentially like a GIS application where the city staff can go out and say, oh, I've seen this invasive species, add that to the data for this woodlot. So that's kind of a key piece. So those are all of the specific deliverables for this project, but it kind of feeds into what I'm thinking is stage 3 of this project, which is a much longer term piece. And that's then we can take all of this information and prioritize the actual management. So removal of invasive species from these woodlots and planting and all of that good stuff that I'm looking forward to. So yeah, and that could be like prioritizing planting of diverse native species. So I would hope that the students then develop um, some sort of points on what they think that we should be doing in the future for these woodlots after going into them and seeing them and all and gaining all of that knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. So the research pieces, the like the actual mapping and just talking about with other stakeholders, and then also the recommendations, the what's the priorities in the future,
Yeah.
all pieces. Yeah, thank you. That was very well described. And I think it sounds like a very exciting project, and I hope we get some enthusiastic students on this. Is there anything else you would like to add about the project?
Yeah, I guess the only thing is that again, this is an extremely flexible project
Mm.
and I'm happy to work with students and what they're most excited about, while also hoping to meet some of these goals to, tackle the problems that we're seeing and to support the urban forest strategy.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Kristen.